We're at Eurobike. It's the world's biggest cycling trade show, and today we're looking for the best components, parts, accessories, clothing, you name it. That's what we're after in today's video. Okay, so Eurobike is obviously known for all the bikes, but we've already done that. We've done the e-bikes and we've done the regular bikes. You can find those videos on the channel already. Today is all about the parts and accessories, clothing, helmet, shoes, bars, stems, you name it, we've got it. Now, I know what I'm after first, and it's covered in Kashima gold, so let's go find it. There's a new rotor from Galfer. It's called the Shark Evo, and it is an evolution of the Shark rotor. So it's got a deeper brake track to work better with, I guess, Megura brakes, for example. But yes, that is a Kashima coated in a Spider. If you want to match your rotors to your Fox factory suspension, there's no performance benefit, it just looks kind of cool. Okay, so in terms of componentry, one of the big things here is new brakes from Hope. So let's start at the lever end, because they're replacing the Tech 4 lever with this new Evo lever. The big news on that is that there is a bleed port. So you can put the easy bleed pot in the top. You don't have to take the top cap off and faff around the bladders. They're saying that that's because it's a bit easier to use, less likely to get bubbles in the system when you're playing around with the bladder. So that's a big win in terms of usability and maintainability. Like that. There's also changes to the lever blade in that the dimpling that you can't really see on my camera has been lessened a little bit, maybe make it a little bit more comfortable. But the big news, there's going to be 3 different sets of levers. So the brakes will come with the standard lever. Standard lever there, you've got your bike point adjust and your reach adjust, but there's going to be 2 additional aftermarket levers. You've got the power one, where the flat bit of the lever is going to sit further away from the bar, good for people with bigger hands maybe, or if you want to really pull on a brake lever to get the maximum power. And they have the control lever, where it's going to sit a little bit closer, good for smaller hands and good for those who want like that fine control with the lever really close to the bar. Slight improvement in power from this end over the Tech 4, which was a super powerful brake anyway. I really like those Tech 4 levers, a big improvement on the Tech 3 in my opinion. So it'd be really interesting to see how these Evo ones go. Down at the caliper end, the X2, which is a lightweight cross-country one, that stays the same. They do a flat mount version of that, but the E4 and the V4 have been replaced. So we've got the TR4 for your trail riders and the GR4 for the enduro riders and the downhill riders. So overall, they're slightly slim in profile, especially the GR4, so it should fit into tight spaces a little bit easier at the back of your frame. But there is an increase in 1mm of the diameter of the pistons, so they're gaining about 6% power out of these 2 calipers on top of the previous versions. The other update for this, especially for the GR4, so the V4 was built for those vented rotors, and that helped keep the brakes cool, but they were quite thick, and it meant that if you weren't running the vented rotors, you were running thinner ones, it could feel a little bit spongy, the bike point was a bit different, and it didn't feel great. This has now been tightened up, so it won't work with those vented rotors, it will work with more rotors on the market though, and I think overall that's probably quite a good move. They did hint though, in the future there is something coming back with vented rotors. Maybe a 6-spot, we'll have to wait and see. Should be available later this year. Pricing doesn't change from their current range, so great stuff from Hope. All right, a fairly unique bike here from Marin. They gave Instagram creator outsidebrendan access to a Pine Mountain, told him to go mad, and he's built the ultimate trail building rig. So, well, first look, anything with a chainsaw is pretty cool. There's some batteries on there. 3D printed apparently, little rack on the back. And then look, he's even welded extra mounts on there to put this front-loading one. More batteries on there. I don't know what he's trying to power. And then look, there's the trail building tool, the Trail Boss. That's like a modular trail building tool. Got a saw on there, shovel, and telescoping arms. Nice stuff. But what we saw that was interesting was, look, a front-mounted bi-motal e-bike assistance uses like a gear mounted onto the front hub here to pull you up a hill. Quite a unique system. Now, I'm not convinced the handling is going to be insanely good on the trail, but if you want to carry all your trail building stuff around, perhaps this is the way to go and do it. Cool stuff here from Marin. So I just spotted what is quite an interesting looking bike here. This is titanium 3D printed carbon lug tubes, interesting suspension linkage there. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Oh, look, they've got an intent fork. No, they don't. This is a brand new fork from a company called Stablead, who will bring this to market at some point in the middle of next year. Fork and a shock in there, along with some other components that are going to come out in North America a little bit earlier than that. But yeah, So this is a carbon reinforced upside down enduro fork. Currently this is 160 millimeters. I'm sure they will have other options on there. All the usual compression and rebound on there. It's an air spring fork as well. Really interesting. So 15 by 110 boost space in the front. They've not gone for the 20mm axle like Fox have with their podium fork. So that'll make life a bit easier. But yeah, really cool product here. Now they've also got a shock. Looks like a big enduro one. You've got your piggyback there, increased oil volume to help keep everything nice and cool and consistent on long descents. Again, carbon reinforced main can, all the adjustments. This is beautifully made, even though it's still in prototype form. Really interesting. So the company is actually one that makes Steadicam stuff for like film and TV. So if you're watching like a car chase in a film and you know the camera's on a long arm and it's bouncing up and down, that's the background of Stablead. But the guy who runs the company is a mountain bike and he's like, oh, I want my own mountain bike product. And here it is. They obviously have experience in making suspension products, just not for mountain bikes. Middle of next year, this stuff is coming out. Really interesting. We're on the list to get a set as soon as it does. So really excited for that. Look out for it because it could be really, really cool. Okay, so at the Maxxis stand, so this video could be about tyres or it could be about bikes, but let's look at the bike for starters. This is the Big Ben concept bike. And what's the concept? Well, it's for 32-inch wheels. Yeah, that is right. We've had 26, 650B 29, and now it seems like 32-inch is going to be a thing. Now, Maxxis have got an Aspen tyre here, which they made. They actually started this project back in early 2023 with a view of it being ready for the Paris Olympics in 2024, perhaps to go under a certain Mr. Schurter. However, component issues for the rest of the bike that he was going to ride meant that he couldn't actually race a 32-inch bike at the Olympics last year. And currently no one's on it really yet, but there's definitely testing been going on. So at the moment, the Aspen, that is a cross-country race-ish tyre, cross-country race tyre in fact. Maxxis tell me there's about a 10% weight penalty for going up to 32 inches, so that translates to just under 100 grams extra on this particular Max Speed Exo TR version. Currently there is only an Aspen tread, however, there will be 2 other patterns coming to market late this year, early next year. I suspect there's going to be a Forecaster. There isn't going to be a Minion, despite what some people have said apparently, but certainly interesting. Where is it going to fit in? It's probably going to be on the cross-country lightweight trail space, maybe for those taller riders. There's going to be some clearance issues. If you've got short legs and you've got a 32-inch wheel, you're not going to want much travel at the back. So maybe full surfs, maybe hardtails. I spoke to another manufacturer as well, who are exploring the concepts of 32-inch, and they seem to think that actually it's going to be easier to package on a hardtail, certainly initially, because there's a lot of geometry considerations to think about, especially in this front area here, where your feet are and where the front wheel is. You're going to have quite long bikes, potentially with longer offset forks, just to make sure there's no toe overlap, because on a mountain bike, that's very annoying. Yeah, really interesting to see. Aspen 32 by 2.4. I am sure there's going to be a hell of a lot of comments about that one because people love a wheel size debate. So additional little detail. So I was chatting to the guys on Maxxis and they said that the guys who have tested these big wheels on the XC courses have said that basically it's really good on technical uphill climbs. That sort of reduced angle down here when it's hitting a rock just really helps the wheels bump up and over on loose, rocky, wet, slimy climbs. So it'll be interesting to see. Now obviously because it's a bigger tyre, bigger weight, and more twisting needed to accelerate, they probably aren't as punchy in a sprint, but yeah, holding speed and on those technical climbs, that is where these 32-inch wheels are said to really prove their worth. So I thought it was worth coming to the Leatt stand. They've got some really cool, interesting bits and pieces, all coming out back end of this year, and now distributed in the UK again, which is really great to see. So they've got a new fabric, a 6.0 Hydro Dry. So it's got a 15k rating on the waterproofing, which isn't huge, but what it does have is 70k on the breathability. So I don't know if you know the Gore shake dry stuff that was around for a little while, super breathable, almost as breathable as that is what they're saying. Really cool to see that. Jacket there, like that, and they've redone their waterproof onesie. Now, I am a massive fan of a waterproof onesie. I think they're absolutely game-changing in the UK in the winter. So this rebuild of it, slightly heavyweight, slightly lighter weight fabric, sorry, should feel a little bit nicer potentially on the bike. Some nice features in there, ventilation, pockets, all the sort of the good stuff on there. They've also, in terms of waterproofing and ready for the winter, new shoes. So we really rated these boots last year, But previously they had like a speedlay system underneath the gaiter, and that's now moved to an external boa, so a bit more adjustable when you're actually riding if you want to tighten your shoes. And they do have a clipless version here, a little bit more cross-country orientated perhaps, and this one being flat for the free riders. Next up, really like to see this actually. So previously they had 2 body protectors for women. They've now got 5 women-specific body protectors. Really great to see the full range from just chest and back through to arms, shoulders, and all the rest. And their knee guards have had a slight update too, including now some with level 2 protection. So level 1 protection, great for trail riders, kind of lightweight, gives like scuff protection. Level 2, great if you're going bigger and have bigger hits. So nice to see that from Leatt. They also have a whole full new range of clothing, which in my experience has always been absolutely spot on. Always been quite a fan of Leatt stuff. So great to see that. And there's one more thing I wanted to show you. That was it. They've got a new full face helmet over here. Let's have a quick look. The Gravity 5.0. Cool thing, you've got a carbon backplate on there. Comes with a visor which has an extended see-through visor. Great in those horrible mucky conditions, and they've updated those little blue discs in there to improve protection from rotational forces and low speed impacts as well. So plenty of cool stuff going on at Leatt. Great to see. Really stoked that they're coming back into the UK with a new distributor as well. Really happy about that. All right, we've just got a sneak peek at a new wheel set from Hunt. It is the Proven Trail UD Carbon Trail wheel set. So it's kind of built for heavier XC riders or maybe lighter weight trail riders as well. You've got a 30mm internal carbon rim on there and carbon spokes to help keep everything light. Now there's some interesting tech on this wheel set. Let's talk through bits and pieces of it. Right, first step, when you're building a wheel, what you really want is for the spokes to be coming out at 90 degrees to the rim. Gives a better connection between them, makes the wheel build easier, but sometimes quite difficult to do. So this little strip of carbon is placed inside the wheel rim as it's being built. And I don't know if you can see, quite difficult in this light, but there's a wedge-shaped patches on there. And this just means that when the spoke goes through that, it has done so and it sort of pulls at 90 degrees to that patch rather than, well, oblique to the rim profile. So yeah, that sits in there basically. Next up, let's talk about the rim. So where the 3 different sections of the rim join, you've got the rim bed, you've got the rim walls, and this bit over the top. What you don't want in there is any voids. Now a void would be, a bubble of air in there or whatever it is. That does not help build a strong rim. So they've developed this. It's another pull-truded bit of carbon, so pull through under tension, squeezes out the resin, applies pressure, and it comes out in a ring. That sits in that junction between the 3 different sections of the rim and just helps ensure that there is no void. So for a healthier, more complete rim build on there. Finally, we've got the carbon spoke itself. Carbon spoke's pretty cool. You don't see them on very many trail wheel sets because, well, they're kind of expensive probably and difficult to make, but Hunt have been making these for quite a while. You find them on their road wheels and on their super lightweight XC race wheels. So how do you get metal components on the end of a carbon rim? Well, you make the end of the carbon rim tapered outwards, so it's wider at the end than it is in the middle. Well, here. And then you also have the same but the reverse taper on the metal components. But before everything is fully formed, you put the metal component over the carbon spoke, and then to finish off the forming process, you pull on those metal bits, jamming it all together, super tight, super strong, and it means it can't come off. You're not relying on glue to join the metal components to the carbon, you're relying on those wedges. So a normal spoke will break at about 290 kilos when you pull it end to end. These ones are said to break at over 400 kilos, and that 400 kilos is applied in that sort of forming process of the spoke. So pretty strong stuff, and that should help go to build what should be a pretty strong wheel set from Proven. All right, I'm at the Shimano stand, but not looking at gears. I am looking at their updated range of shoes for mountain biking. So we have the, let's start with this one, the GE 900 Hot Step, or HS. This is a race-bred downhill shoe, which is kind of an evolution of the GE9, which is this one, which comes in a nice new colorway. So we still get the gaiter up here to keep the crud out. It has a slightly stiffer sole for better pedal transfer if you're racing, and a slightly thinner upper that is less comfortable, they say, than the GE9, but gives a little bit more feedback through the pedals. So good for the racers out there. Maybe not an all-day shoe, but if you're a fast boy, fast girl, this is the shoe for you. Then they've got the GE900, GTX. This is a Gore-Tex line trail shoe for all year round use. Is saying it's not one of the MW winter shoes, no insulation down here, but it does have a Gore-Tex liner throughout to keep your feet dry if you're out on a splashy ride. A little shroud over the top of the boa there, a nice little touch, and the Velcro for lots of security in there. So maybe a good one for spring in the UK, autumn, all that sort of stuff. Right, over here, these are the GF shoes, so these are for the flats. Now this is the GF 900. Again, it's a new shoe, looks quite fancy there in white, nice and lightweight, built to pair up nicely with their own pedals as well, and a single boa on the top of that. A nice shoe for those guys who are riding on flat pedals, and stands a little bit above, you know, the GF4, and there's a GF6 as well down there. Those just get colour updates, but that's a new model this year. Looks real nice, great flat shoe option for people who are into that. And of course, there is the GF8 GTX, which is a flat-soled version of that clipless shoe we saw just the other side of the booth. So some nice shoes there from Shimano. I'm a big fan of their shoes, to be fair, actually. Looking forward to hopefully getting myself, I'm a clipless rider, so I'm going to be trying to get myself some of these. Look at that, brown. I love it. Okay, back at Leatt, a couple of things I forgot to bring you last time I was here. So it's all cockpit based. So they've added 31.8 to their range of bars and stems, up from the 35mm that they offered originally. And look, 68mm rise bar here if you want to challenge you're in a Dak Norton. This stem at the end, nice and interesting. It's got a Ceramag, which is a ceramic coated magnesium alloy. Nice and light, and they're claiming some sustainability stuff on there. It's a cool looking stem, I have to admit. And then this stem's really interesting. 27mm stack height, so really low stem on the Steerer. Should help fit it in there if you've cut your Steerer too short, or if you want to move it up and down quite a lot. 44 and 35mm lengths on that one. Pretty cool stuff. They've also increased their range of grips. They've got their vibration damping tech, which is within the core. This is the OG, but they've added like a diamond knurled one, and one with a bit more of a mix of textures on there too. Cool stuff in the cockpit department from Leatt. So if you're paying attention, sometimes you see people, little things poking out the top of their rucksacks, including a set of ODI bars. I just saw the logo sticking out of someone's rucksack. Oh, is that? So yeah, ODI coming out with a new handlebar and stem, cockpit, Stealth Series, I believe they called it. So there's going to be 4 different rises on the handlebar. This is a 12mm. They're going up quite tall. I forget how tall I would do, apologise. 800mm. 35mm diameter, and then with one stem, 35mm length, 35mm diameter, 0 rise. Yeah, pretty cool. Basically, everyone knows about ODI's grips, but you could never see the logo because it's hidden under people's hands. So they thought, let's get some real estate on the front of people's bikes. It was going to be pro only, but then a load of people started asking for them. So here it is, ODI, bar and stem cockpit, coming in about a month's time. So they've also got a new universal number plate. Now, most number plates are attached to downhill forks on the Triple Crown, but this one is designed for your Eurobike, and it attaches on the bars. So it comes with these little rubber inserts that can be pulled out, and there's 2 different depths of those, so you can choose whether you have the cables on the outside or the inside of your number board for that absolute pro look. 3 colours coming out next month, black, white and grey, I believe. Yeah, and that's coming out in about a month's time. Pretty cool stuff from ODI. All right, new rubber from WTB. It's called the Peacekeeper, and it is, well, it's in between a cross-country tyre and a trail tyre, so I guess you're going to call it a down-country tyre. 29 by 2.4 width with the SG2 protection in there, which is their mid-weight casing for a good bit of strength without too much weight in there. So it's coming in around 900-ish grams. So you can see low profile knobbles that are fairly widely spaced, plenty of them, and a good shoulder tread on there for cornering. So it's not super aggressive, maybe like the Trail Boss, but it's not going to be like mega fast rolling like an XT tyre would be. A nice little in-betweener for the lightweight trail riders or the down country crowd, call it what you will. So yeah, that's the new Peacekeeper 29 by 2.4. Oh, and it's coming in the light, fast rolling compound and the stickier, grippier one too. Okay, that's it for Eurobike 2025. Now, those are the best components that I could find at the show. Any comments and questions, drop them down below. And don't forget, give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel for plenty more tech in the future. Now, of course, this is day 3 of Eurobike. I am very tired. It's time for me to go home. But if you want to see more Eurobike content, of course, we've covered off all the bikes at the show too. Done a video on the best e-bikes and the best analog bikes. You can check those out on the end screen right now. Thanks for watching. We'll be back soon with more content on MBUK TV.